5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Alright, hi Kris, thank you for joining me today. So you have a really interesting story about a first-hand UFO sighting. UFO being the very literal unidentified flying object. And I was wondering if you'd want to tell me your story, what you saw.
Yeah, that's fine. It I'd have been at least 10-15 years ago. One day I was going over to my friend's house, and it was late at night, probably say roughly about 8 or 10 o'clock. As I was biking home and stuff like that, I was wondering why everybody was outside looking at the sky, and so as I, went outside and looked up, I saw this strange light and, a shadow in the sky, and it kept going from pretty much one side to the next side, just really fast. I mean, it was amazing. I did not know what it was. It was too small to be any type of, helicopter or plane or anything like that, and it was going very fast, so I knew it couldn't be anything smaller than that. So it was just amazing, And after, it going back and forth for a good, 30 or so minutes, then it just completely disappeared out of thin air.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that does sound really interesting to see. Would you mind kind of explaining to me in more detail the sort of movement that it had? Was it purely like left to right? Did it go up and down? Did it stop at any point?
It was mostly just going left to right, and then towards the very end, it just went up and down.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it wasn't going in like circles or anything like that. It was just going from left to right, and then at the end up and down. And it was just in a very fast movement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I find it very interesting with stories where, it's going in one direction then reversing itself, since in that case it's not a plane, since why would a plane be going backwards? But of course that on its own, doesn't say something about it being perhaps, sorry, go ahead.
I'm saying that's the same thing with like helicopters, they can't really go back and forth. They would have to make like a big turn and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm, exactly. So this sort of movement would lead a lot of people to believe that this was an extraterrestrial craft. Is that what you personally believe this was?
I believe it was, yes. I mean, I believe in supernatural and all that stuff, so I very much believe it was what it was.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and can you tell me then, so this was just a light for you, right? You couldn't make out any kind of shape or anything like that?
It was like it was a dark figure, shadow, like dark, I guess it would be kind of like, a dark, small figure in the sky.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Couldn't get like no designs or anything like that, and it only had like 2 sets of lights on it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Okay. And you said as well, which I found interesting, there was other people at the time looking at this. Did I hear that correctly?
Yes, my friend and her mom was outside, and then their next door neighbors, and probably about 6 other people are outside as well looking at it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and did you speak to any of these people afterwards, or are you all just disbanded?
We were all just shocked.
Yeah.
And confused at what was going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. In these cases as well, if everybody is a bit confused by what it is, it kind of makes this sighting a lot more credible. If somebody thinks it might be a plane, then chances are that it is a plane. So I wanted to ask then, is there anybody that sort of was skeptical that saw this, or everybody was just on the same board of this is crazy?
Wouldn't really know, to be honest, on that. Like, I didn't really talk to anybody. I asked my friend, and she's all confused at what it was. I mean, she was just more shocked.
Mm-hmm. Moving on from that just a little bit, I wanted to sort of ask you, so you said this was 10 or 15 years ago, so
I would probably say about 2000 and 15. Wait, no. 2005, maybe 2008.
Wow, okay. Yeah, so that would have been a while ago. But, so prior to that, would you have been a sort of UFO extraterrestrial believer? Or was this sort of the moment that cemented that for you?
I mean, I've always believed, of the unknown and the supernatural, and so, I mean, when I saw that, it made me actually truly believe, even more of what could be out there.
Yeah, I can understand that. So, sort of in the same direction then, what would you say to somebody listening who is skeptical of your story, who thinks that what you saw was maybe some kind of balloon?
A lot of people, they all say the same thing. They don't believe it until they see it, but, things in the world can happen at any time, any moment. If you're a person that doesn't believe it, you're always going to constantly look for it. And that's when you're just going to start doubting yourself because you're obviously looking for it, so it probably won't as happen. But if you're not paying attention and stuff like that, it can happen.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. The whole idea of, looking for patterns so much that you fail to see what's actually happening around you. So I just want to ask you then, this is the only sort of sighting that you've had of that, am I right?
For UFO sightings, yes. I mean, I had another experience when I was a kid, for the, I guess you would call it supernatural in a ways. One day I was just sitting at my computer. I don't remember what exactly I was doing at my computer, and then I had a vision in my head, like the old cartoons that you would originally watch and stuff like that, when they do those slow picture movements and stuff like that. I had that vision pop in my head where I somehow fall off my chair while sitting on the computer, and then I roll onto the ground, and I continue rolling until I'm onto the other side of the floor, or the room. And so then, after I come to, I realize that, hey, I'm actually on the floor on the other side of the room. Like, what's going on? And then, about 5-10 minutes later, my cousin gets a phone call, and it says, hey man, I'm sorry to give you bad news, but your sister just passed away. And so right then and there, it hit me, and ever since then, I just tell everybody that, asks about my sister and stuff like that, I just say, I give the story and say, my sister was pretty much holding on to me through her soul and stuff like that, one last touch, saying goodbye.
Yeah, that's a really powerful story, and I'm sorry that you lost your sister.
It's alright, it was a long time ago.
So, you think with this sort of experience, they all kind of tie into the same thing, so the supernatural and UFOs and aliens, because I know there are a lot of people that believe they're all one and the same thing. Would you possibly count yourself as one of those people?
Yeah, I mean, I believe in all of it, and, I've had two experiences, two different types, seeing it and feeling it, so yes, I do believe it.
Okay, well, I think that's pretty much all I wanted to ask you, so thank you so much for sharing your story with me and with the listeners. I'm sure they're going to find it really interesting.
I hope so too.
Yes, and maybe if you ever have another kind of encounter or sighting, we can do this again. And I just want to give you a chance as well while we're here to just sort of shout yourself out, since you do YouTube, if you'd like to shout out your channel.
Yeah, that would be great, thank you. I go by, my name's Kris, I go by Komodo Bone most of the time on YouTube. I play a lot of gameplay games, varying from, old classic retro games to newer modern games. If you have a chance, then hey, check me out on YouTube under Komodo Bone 1.
Okay, and the link for his channel will be down in the description, so please click that and check him out. Thank you again for joining me today, and have a great day.
Very much, and same with you as well.
Thank you.
1, 2, 3, 4.